I got to share this story with you because I think this is timely, just because this also happened yesterday after you left. Uncle Charlie was sharing with me one story. He goes, hey, he Japanese Filipino boy from that side who was hustling. He was getting stuff done. He was doing good for himself, doing really well. Just between me and you, Uncle Charlie was going to the derbies. And he remembers this young boy from the derby, right? Doing the running, and he watched this young boy come up, and this young boy was really doing good for himself. And he tells me, hey, you know the guy? He goes, yeah, you know the guy down at the kind. If you're on that side, so you probably see him. Get an uncle who picks up, the high fives everywhere. Get a couple uncles who they actually battle each other for the high fives out there in Nanakuli. Get Uncle Richard Pa. He doesn't speak, so he actually is a mute. But we have these long conversations, but that's a whole nother story. But get this other uncle who drives a black Ford Ranger. I don't know if you ever see him out there. He's high-fiving all the way from Nanakuli up and down Maili. So Uncle Charlie tells me, yeah, that young Japanese Filipino boy, his name was Jason. That girl that got shot? That's the granddaughter of the uncle who does the high fives in the black Ford Ranger. So a couple of days ago, for people who don't know, right, this young woman was shot in the face by the father of her child, and their daughter saw this whole thing happen.
Yeah.
And in places like in America, he's like, yeah, that's not us, that's far away. But here on Oahu, bro, that thing is way too close to all of us to have Uncle Charlie know these guys. And I bet you know that uncle too. If you see his high five, that's his granddaughter who got killed. And part of me thinks that if brother had one place where other men could talk to him about life and also the safety around firearms and being okay with his feelings.
Right. And how to express them.
Stuff doesn't happen, bro.
Right. And I feel like that's a lot of it, being able to talk things through, again, compartmentalize your emotions and really be able to break them down with other men in a space where you're not being judged and you're not embarrassed, and crying isn't seen as a weakness, but as an empowerment because it's a natural emotion to do. It's this idea that men have to be these strong, beings that can only, show strength. Like, no, man, we have vulnerabilities and weakness too. And to be honest, crying I don't see as a weakness. I see it as the natural emotion to alleviate stress and fear and sadness and drama. And without it, you bottle it all up, and that's when real issues arise. When you do things like that, when you have these motives and agendas to conduct wickedness like that. And like you said, a lot of that could be fixed if we gave people like that spaces to voice their stress and their sadness and their fear and their jealousy, because a lot of what he did was out of a place of jealousy and fear that he couldn't have that woman anymore. You know what I mean? And so he took her life because he couldn't, I would assume because he couldn't imagine a life without him in hers. And that could have been worked through with discussion, with camaraderie, with people, have gone through these similar situations, being able to talk him out of it and realize that there's so much more to life than one person. You know what I mean? You've gone through it. I went through it with an ex, and it is traumatic. It is hard. It is difficult to see people go on without us, but we have to realize that we can go on without them too. And there's a way to do it that is still pono and still healthy. So I really think that something like this, and maybe it doesn't have to be weekly or monthly, but even doing it every once in a while and then creating a little network of men that just continually check in on each other could have really helped somebody like him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He could have come to one event and then we could have just kept him in the loop via social media or text and just been like, hey man, you good? You want to talk? Do you want to grab coffee and, discuss what's happening? Just, I think anything like that could have been so beneficial. And a lot of times it takes people like you and I to step out of our uncomfortable shell and be that, sacrificial lamb, I would say, um, to show them. And so you can gather these people, but so many people aren't going to just talk to strangers. And it takes sometimes people like you and me to voice our stories and our struggles and our vulnerabilities. And then once they see other men doing it, a lot of people will open up about their own insecurities and vulnerabilities and be able to really voice their struggles. And I think we could have been something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to say we would have been, but I think he definitely could have avoided his choices if he had more of a support system. And, I say it all the time, that support system could and should be indigenous.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Why do we always go look for European sects of religion and Buddhism and spirituality and power crystals and sage? And it's like, we have so much right here. We could just do it ourselves using mana, ike, mana'o, pule, oli. We could have taken him down to Hi'uvai, all of those bad ideas and feelings away in the mornings, given him purpose, had him call on his ancestors when he was low. But like, he probably doesn't even know that those exist because nobody taught it to him.
I'm reminded by that everything we do in life is either sign of love or cry for help.
Yeah.
For a lot of us guys, sometimes asking for help, we're taught as men, don't ever ask for help. Figure it out yourselves. And we close ourselves off to other brothers who want to help us. I'm saying this because I do that too. And if not for the brothers who physically grab me, pull me out of that place and pull me into, kind of like how I pulled you out yesterday. So I'm grateful that you showed up at the last minute. I love you, man. Got you up there.
Holiday break, man. I'm free. It was a perfect ops. I had no reason to say no. It's like, man, I gotta go up there and do something cultural. Why not?
Yeah.
But I think, I love this idea of talking through this. And I think that, like in my podcast, I say talk doesn't cook rice, man. Talk don't cook rice. We need to stop talking and just do the work.